I have to say, I've been thinking about this talk for a while. And really not having any idea what should be said. I think we all know that the entire experience of the world, the fate of the world, the story of the world changes this week in ways that none of us have ever known or experienced. We don't know which way it goes. There is a sense of unknown, the unknowable. There's a sense of deeply wanting and perhaps deeply fearing certain outcomes. Our lives are so disrupted at this moment. They've been disrupted in so many ways. And I think we're all looking for something that gives us sustenance and comfort, hope. And I think there is a real justification for lack of certainty, although that won't be long. Sometime in the next few days or week or maybe a little longer, a new direction will appear for us, one we will either embrace or run from. There are a lot of worldly responses and choices to the future. And they are all informed by our reactions to everything that's come before. We are very programmable and programmed, and it's hard to escape the program. The more you go into the world, the more trapped you are by it. The more you go within, the more liberated you are. But cannot escape what is. You cannot escape what unfolds. You can try to hide from it, but that doesn't really work because your biology and the mere physicality of your being is part of all that is. It is a biological construct and it experiences things. Hope, ambition, love, fear, all that stuff. Mostly we experience a kind of known, a predictability. That life will go on in a particular way, and we kind of know tomorrow. And it won't be that different than today. But throughout history, that has not been the case. Tomorrow has never been a certainty. And the idea that you think it is, the fact that you think it is an illusion. And so we're all being brought into a kind of wake up to reality that the unknown is what we live with. And even when we think it's known, it's temporary. I think, like many of you, I have waffled between hope and fear of what the future will bring, not just to my family, to my wife, to my children and grandchildren, but to all of us, to you, to the world. The choices that are being given to us now are going to impact the absolute future of mankind. That doesn't happen every day. And so the mind has a way of engaging that, hoping for outcomes, having no idea how to deal with outcomes that don't appeal. And we're such an interesting space now where half of us will not be happy with the outcomes. And what does one do with that? If you want answers to those questions, you can read any newspaper right now. You can watch talk shows. You can talk to your friends. You can try to figure it out for yourself on some level, but reality will present itself. I was talking to my son Ari yesterday, talking about all of this. And I asked if he was concerned. And he said, Dad, I take the long view. I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, humanity has faced horrible drama things before. Gets through them. We work it out. We've been through 2 world wars in the last century, and here we are. Upheavals happen. It was very simple, beautiful talk on some level. And very reassuring that he had that view. Arkady and Yelena asked me to read these books that have been very interesting to them. I'm reading one of them. I'm not sure it's exactly the one you recommended. It's called Homo Deus, Man, God. And one of the things it says in the very first chapter is that for the entire history of mankind, up until about 100 years ago, mankind suffered from hunger, plague, war, all the time. All the time. Man was always afraid of starving. Man was always plagued by these awful, awful diseases. And war erupted regularly as people wanted to have what other people had and decided to take it from them. The arc of history has brought us to this moment where we really, in some extraordinary way, have controlled hunger for much of the world. Most of us have food to eat. Until 7 months ago, we were pretty much untouched by plague. Now we're back in that. As we look around the world, some people are responding to that with a kind of learned intelligence. Others are responding to it badly. War, we've sort of worked it to a point where war means annihilation. Big war. So we don't face those things so much. Hopefully in time, this pandemic will recede. So what do we face? Well, the possibility of climate change. That's a big one. That the climate will change and all of mankind will disappear. Or will it? Human ingenuity has been so amazing over the course of history that we may, in fact, save whole sections or portions of the human race. Does that mean that you will survive that? I don't know. I don't know. Our children, our grandchildren, people we care about, will they survive that? Well, let me tell you something that's really important. Brace yourself. You are going to die. I hate to break it to you. I know it's a horrible fact, but you are going to cease to exist in the material world at some point. Sooner or later, in my case, sooner, it comes. And with that arrival, whatever happens to humanity and the human race will be an unknown. What happens this week will impact the future. But the reality is, whatever the future is, even if science brings us a way to live another 50 years or 100 years, even if science brings us greater health, we are temporary. We live in all sorts of kinds of life experience, upheaval, in personal upheaval, social upheaval. We live in all of this. We are one with whatever arises. If you are at war with that, if you are fighting that, if it pushes your boundaries, if it makes you unhappy, if you suffer because of it, that is on some level programmed, but it's also on some level a choice. You can choose to not react to whatever happens. Not that you don't have a clarity about it, not that you don't maybe even have an awareness and a judgment, but your life, whatever happens in the coming week, is your life. If it pushes your boundaries, let them be pushed. If you cannot react, watch that and see what that does to you. Not reacting is a liberating experience. Letting down the barriers, letting down the things that define you and make you you is actually a good thing. One thing that I've learned in very recent time is that in breaking down the barriers of the Bruce Rubin experience, that it has not robbed whatever this is of love. That has proven to be a key, omniscient, all-present experience. It also goes away, but it doesn't disappear. It goes into nothingness. I talked about that last week. And then it returns. And because I am not reacting, the loss of love and the return of love are part and parcel of the same awareness. We are eternal beings. We go on forever. You may not know that, but you experience it. When transformation occurs and strong reactions occur, you are locking yourself away from eternity. You are creating a structure that will be broken down at some point. You can partake in the breaking down, or you can let it be broken down. If you experience it being broken down and you're still reactionary, you will not like it. It will be a sense of being robbed of everything, of you being taken away, of you being disassembled. And I believe for most people, that is the process of dying. For those of you, like those listening to this talk, who have in some ways embraced the possibility of letting go of that reactivity, you can begin to slowly disassemble you and discover this extraordinary presence. What you discover after nothingness and love is really interesting. Really interesting. And that is this ground of being that we are is founded on things like righteousness, fairness, kindness, goodness. This ground of being does not like egotism, evil, hostility, anger, all of these forces that are part of the defining element of very closed manifested forms. And it will, in the end, break them apart. And we will all witness that in ourselves, or we will have chosen to partake in that process, and we will, during this lifetime, surrender, surrender, surrender. It's purposeful. It is smart. It is wise. Let go. And what you will discover at the core of your being is love, righteousness, kindness, goodness, as the essence of your very self. That is what you are, and it is pervasive. It is everywhere. And you will find possibly a reaction to those who are not kind, those who are not good, those who are evil, those who are egocentric, those who have the misuse of power. And something may rise up in you that is anger or resistance or judgment. And all I can tell you is that is another defining element of your ego-minded self. And you need even to let go of that. And when you let go of that, what you will discover is a new depth of compassion, a new depth of allowing what is to live itself out. You will see egotism, evil, all of those forces as signs of profound ignorance. And the reason we are born and come into this world is to learn how to become wise about what this is. Ignorance is a part of the human condition. Every lifetime is an opportunity to rise beyond ignorance into greater and greater awakening. That process is a learned process in terms of working with the world, but it is deeply informed by inner awareness. And again, we have these doorways into that awareness, spiritual practice, awareness of chakras, of these doorways that open. They will help you rise above ignorance, and you will be able to see clearly what is going on. Can you change it? Maybe in some way. You can definitely change you. The best way to change the world and others is not through anger and hostility and judgment. The best way to change the world is to love it. You can dialogue with it. You can bring it information and clarity. It may not be well received, and you should be prepared to step back because you don't want your teacherly guidance in the world to cause someone else to shut down and become hostile and angry. You don't want that. You would like to be, I would like to be a force of awareness, witness, calmness, centeredness, lovingness, joyfulness. And the thing you discover in being that expansive, compassionate being is that your energy is the teaching energy. It wafts out into others and it changes the world. Nothing changes the world more than your love of it. Nothing. And if that love is yours personally, being a good person, that's great. But if you can let go of your own separate self and allow the massiveness of love that wants to flood this space and let it flow through the emptiness of your being, you have learned one of the great gifts in life, how to let go of you and how to become one with the love itself. That is really the journey we're on. I will talk about this, I suppose, week by week, as long as anybody shows up. But this week is really important because it's going to challenge all of your reactivity. It will. It will challenge my reactivity. I know what I have to do, and I will try my best to do it. These energies inside are very dynamic, and they speak to me. I will try to share my concerns over time with all of you. Next week's talk may be coming from a completely different world being, a world condition. I don't know. I don't know what it will be. I will tell you, nobody does. Knowing is not part of the equation except for one fact. I am. And the body and the persona and the personality is temporary. We are all temporary, and we will not be around for that much longer. Whatever happens to the world, happens to the world. It has been through this 1 billion times. It comes and it goes, it comes and it goes, it comes and it goes. Why? The only answer, maybe, is it's a school. It's a great school. And we learn from these very problematic, often traumatic life changes. We learn, we grow, we evolve, or we compound the ignorance and we keep this thing going forever and ever. My guess is one can, in a sense, graduate from the world if one wants to graduate from the world. But I will also tell you, I have never been more in love with the world. I'm not sure what it means to graduate. I'm not sure what it means to leave. I have no idea what the conceptual model is for all of what we're dealing with. I can only tell you, in the simplest of terms, you can wash away your ego-minded being, find this witness inside yourself, and be aware that love, compassion, righteousness are all flowing out of the very core of being. And you are one with that being. You are already eternal. Life is eternal. What our future relationship with it is, I have no idea. But leaving this world, loving it, feels like a good choice. And that means keeping that love going, even if what's happening around you is evil and dark and compromised and represents all the worst stuff of humanity. Keep your heart open. Love the people next to you. Love each other. Love people on the street. Love people who you know are ignorant. Love the world. Love the trees around you. Love the pavement. Love the fact that somehow food arrives at the supermarket, as long as it does. Love the fact that we are human beings experiencing wonder. That's all I can tell you. This is an extraordinary, extraordinary moment. It's an opportunity to really open and awaken to the what is. And it's going to challenge everything in you or not. You may be unchallenged, but let me tell you, whatever happens, be grateful, be appreciative, be open, say yes, reach out, and hug the people next to you, and love the life you're living. I'm looking for 500 endings to this talk, and there aren't any more. I really love you guys. I will be here next week to have another discussion that will be very much informed by the world we find ourselves in, whatever that may be. I will tell you, in our own country, 50% of it or so, some large percentage, will be very happy, and another large percentage will not be. I don't know what side of the equation you will find yourself on. It doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter, because it will determine many of the choices you make. But the singular choice you can make, stay open, keep your heart open, love yourself, love those you're with, love the world, and know that God is in his heaven and all is well. Any questions?
I have a question, Bruce. It's George.
George?
In an atom, there's a positive and a negative.
Say again?
In the atom itself, there's a positive and a negative. And without evil, there is no good, or without good, there is no evil. So it's both there. How do you relate to that?
That's it. Well, you witness it. You witness it. And I will tell you, the world is a construct. There are infinite constructs. This construct of good and evil, yin and yang, is here for some purpose. And we live within that. But I will tell you, the spiritual element in all that, one is to accept the totality, but two, it is to lean toward love and goodness, and if possible, away from evil and all of the things that represents. That seems to me to be part of the schooling of the human experience. But the deeper experience is, thy will be done. Accept yin and yang, because they are part of this, the eternity of this space. There are spaces way beyond this that are so not this. But this is all we got. This is our school. And I know following the heart, following righteousness, following goodness, as we understand it, and we're not all totally educated. You know, some of us don't have third eyes opened to clarity. Some of us don't have hearts that really function. Some of us don't have intuition that really knows what to do. This is the school. Keep working all of these spaces, open these centers, and learn from the world as it manifests, because it's our teacher. This is our teacher. And you will find your way because it's leading you to finding. It leads you through pain and suffering, and it leads through opening and love and hope and goodness. It's an amazing school, and we are really in that school. And my experience, and again, you can discount my experience, but it seems to align with other people who have taught that there is a liberation in all of this. It doesn't mean your body won't be completely destroyed and maybe painfully. It just means that your being will be aware and witness this in a state of awe and wonder and gratitude. That's all I know. And it's really powerful, really powerful. And it's available to everyone. I haven't been chosen. I haven't been singled out. I really haven't. All I've done, for whatever reason, is listen to my teacher, sat, opened, asked for help to surrender, and done the work. That's all I've done. And it's had a result. The result is not that I've arrived at some high point. I've arrived where I am. I haven't graduated. I have become that which is the student, and that which is that which the student learns. I just have become that. And so can everybody. It's not unique to me. And nothing stands in the way. The only thing that confuses people is thinking you're going to get there. There's no mean, this is old stuff, but there's no there to get to other than you're there. Just wake up. Wake up. This is it. This is the very thing, and love it. So yes, it's molecular. It's got a negative and a positive charge. We are in it, and we are that very thing. We are capable. I am of real evil and darkness. I know I am capable of that. You know, I can do very dark things, and I can do loving, light things. I am at this point choosing to let go of any of that and just be whatever I am or whatever I witness, and we'll see.
Thank you. There's also one other thing. I always relate to, I think it was Ram Dass that said, when somebody dies when they're young, they graduated early.
Well,
speaking about graduation. So.
No, definitely leaving the world is a kind of graduation. But, I mean, you do leave this manifested form for the unmanifest. And in the process, you have to get out of your clothes. You got to get out of your physical attachments. You have to let go of all this stuff. And as you let go of all this stuff, either you do it gently and, you know, like getting ready for bed, or you have somebody with a knife cutting your clothes off. You know, one way or another, they're coming off. In the body, the arms coming off, the legs are coming off, the head's coming off. And either you go, which is a lot, you got to learn how to do that, or you don't. Anybody else?
Bruce, I just wanted to say there was a neat article in the New York Times a week or so ago by a really neat guy, Stephen Petrus, and he talked about the hope being in the uncertainty, and it was just a really different take from what a lot of us have been experiencing. It was very helpful.
Well, I didn't really read that article, but two things exist in uncertainty. One is fear and one is hope. And you can choose one or the other or waffle between the two, you know. But this is a time that is very, very demanding. And I can't watch all that stuff and I can't read anything right now. I'm just going to be waiting quietly to see what happens. Of course, I have a rooting interest. And my rooting interest is that the world be well and that it be guided by clarity and hope and positivity. I hope that my idea of what that is not the same as everybody else's. There are other people who have a different sense of it entirely. And I don't agree. But it doesn't matter. It simply doesn't matter. We're going to wake up one day in the next series of days with a world that either aligns with what makes us comfortable or doesn't. Get back to work. We really have to just get back to work. And the work is let go of reacting to every little thing and getting tight and angry. I cannot tell you how many people have told me they're not sleeping anymore. My own doctor, a surgeon, all he did was tell me how unsettled he is by everything that's happening all around him. And I'm looking at people becoming so wildly uncomfortable. And I get it. And if you talk to Blanche, you'll know that there are moments where I am one of them. I'm a Hollywood screenwriter. I know drama. I know narratives and how they can unfold. And I know stories. And I know what it means to build up to that third act moment where you don't know what's going to happen. And your audience is like, what's going to happen? You know, we're all there or not. And what happens for me, honestly, this is really interesting. If I walk downstairs and see my wife sitting in her office, my heart expands so completely. The love that is now just shooting through me has such a signal that says open. And it's just her. And I don't even need to see her. I can just feel her. And I don't mean to make it just Blanche, because I can do it with my children. I can do it with my grandchildren. Chris, I can do it with you. And I do. Your postcards arrive. I can think of every one of you, truly. I can think of every one of you. And you trigger this enormous love. And that love is not personal. And it does not belong to me. And no matter what happens, no matter what the third act of this movie is, love will prevail. That's how it works. Anyway.
Bruce.
Yes. Well.
You obviously have been through also, because of your whole neck issue, a huge maybe drama, but experience, which we all actually, by reading, I just cannot say how moved I was by reading through your experience. And that happened almost for me on top of everything that's going on in the world. And I wonder if there's any way that it ties into, or what has it done for you, in a sense, going through that incredible journey, which isn't over, and then arriving back in a world right now, which, as you say, is going to change in a week. How does those two influence each other, or if you can say anything about that?
The simple version is, if the universe is going to take you down to the bone and get rid of all this crap, it hurts sometimes. Cutting through the flesh, cutting through the bullshit, cutting through the stuff you hold on to. It can be a slow process, or it can be, we're just going for it. I think I've said this before. Astrologically, I've been informed that I'm being stripped to the bone, and I'm experiencing that. And I did not know while it was happening exactly what was going on. But after it was over, after it passed away, which took emergency rooms and all these other things, but once it was over, I suddenly was aware of what that had been. And I use the word oceanic because it's really like that. The oceanic sense of love and gratitude took me over by surprise in a way, but not by surprise. But they did take me over, and they haven't receded. That ocean has not receded. And I kind of was told that's probably what this period would be like. I was kind of programmed for it, although I don't know that I understood the pain as part of that until after the fact. But I now understand what it takes for the universe to wake us up. It's a lot of chipping away, and it helps if you can say yes to it. Because if I had gone through this without any understanding of its ultimate purpose, I think that would have caused me to become a very frightened person. Because I now know what pain is. And I don't think human beings want it. I don't think any human being wants the level of pain that occurred at that moment. And to be told that morphine won't help was not a good moment. And then I understand, and I say this probably almost every talk now. Christ did not want to go to the cross. Son of God does not want to be in pain. So we're all in the same boat. On the other hand, the journey into liberation will come from many, many forms and forces and demands that you can't predict individually. I can only tell you my journey involved that. I pray in a way that your journey doesn't. But whatever it involves, I just encourage you to maintain the journey, because to witness who you are, what you are, why you are, that you are, is worth everything that the human experience throws at us. It's worth everything. That's all I can say. You know, whether I'll say that in a week or a month or 10 years, who knows? But right now it feels like it's embedded in the system. So, you know, I'll keep talking about it. I've been sort of programmed. I understand this to help people through it. You know, I've been given a kind of Rudy-esque teaching of how to bring energetic force to limitation that people feel. And I can kind of twist knots, undo knots, find some places to get in that often we can't find ourselves. Rudy definitely did that with me. And so now I'll do that with other people. If anybody shows up, if, like I say, if nobody shows up, or if I just go, enough already. That's the way it is. I mean, these talks exist. What's implanted in you exists. It's not going anywhere. You can shut it off, but it's alive. And everybody who I'm told to be of help to, if they show up, I will help. And if you don't show up, I'm going to take a nap. I don't know how it works. Anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you. Time to go.
Thank you.
Love you all very much.
Love you.
Chris.
Sign out. Stay well, everybody.